All right, let's talk about something we've all struggled with. Why is it so hard to let go of a person or a job or even just a situation that we know deep down isn't right for us? Well, today we're going to get into the psychology of it, why your brain clings on for dear life even when your heart is telling you to move on.
I mean, really think about it. Have you ever felt that? Just stuck, replaying things over and over in your mind, totally unable to get past a relationship or a situation, even though every part of you knows it's time to just walk away.
If you're nodding your head right now, listen up. It is absolutely not just you. This is such a core part of being human. It isn't some personal flaw, and it's definitely not a sign of weakness.
In fact, the reason it's so tough is because of how our brains are literally wired. See, there are these really powerful, kind of hidden psychological forces at work that make clinging to what we know feel so much safer than letting go. And right now, we're going to pull back the curtain and see what they are.
Okay, so let's jump into the first big reason we get stuck. It's almost like our brain charges a possession tax on anything that we feel is ours, which makes it seem way more valuable than it really is.
The official name for this is the endowment effect, and it's a super common cognitive bias. What it means is that our brain tricks us into believing that something we already have is worth more than the exact same thing if we didn't have it. Just the fact that it's familiar to us, that it's ours, totally inflates its value in our head.
Here's a super simple way to think about it. Picture a coffee mug. You see one in a store, it's generic, maybe it's $5. But your mug, the one you grab every single morning, oh, that's different. That one's tied to memories, to your routine, to you. All of a sudden, its value just skyrockets, right? Not because it's a better mug, but simply because it's your mug.
And here's where it gets real. Our brains use that exact same flawed logic for big, complicated things, like our jobs and our relationships. We put way too much value on them just because they're our job or our partner. So the pain that we know, well, to our brain, that can actually feel safer and more valuable than the scary, unknown world of what might come next.
But you know, this whole struggle goes even deeper than just a mental shortcut. It's not just about a simple bias. It gets tangled up in who we are, or maybe who we used to be. And that brings us to the next big idea.
There's this thing called identity dissonance, and it's that really uncomfortable, almost painful friction you feel when you've started to change and grow as a person, but the situation you're in, the relationship, the job, it hasn't grown with you. It doesn't fit anymore.
Let me walk you through how this usually happens. Okay, so first, your identity gets all wrapped up in a situation. You're Sarah's partner, or you're the marketing guy at that company. Then you start to grow, you evolve, your values change, you see the world differently. And bam, that's when you hit the conflict. To let go of that old situation feels like you're literally getting rid of a piece of yourself, of your own history. But to stay, well, that feels like you're betraying the person you're becoming. It's a total painful catch-22. So, with these huge forces holding us back, how in the world do we actually move on? Well, a lot of the time, it starts by busting a myth that keeps people stuck, sometimes for years. And that's the illusion of closure. We all do this, right? We tell ourselves we just need that one last talk, that perfect apology, or that final explanation from the other person, and then we can finally close the book. But what we're really doing is we're putting the key to our own freedom in someone else's pocket and just waiting. And this, right here, is the mindset shift that changes everything. See, closure isn't some event that happens to you. It's not a gift someone else gives you. It's an internal decision. It's a choice you make to stop waiting and to take back the pen and write your own ending.
So you really have to ask yourself this question. If closure is a choice, if it's an action you take for yourself, then the power to move forward has been right there with you the whole time. So what are you waiting for?
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, it's maybe the most important one. What's the payoff? What actually happens when you finally let go? It's all about reframing the whole thing, from something negative to something incredibly positive and powerful.
It's natural to see letting go purely as loss. I mean, we focus on the empty space, right? The person who isn't there, the job we don't have anymore. Our brain immediately focuses on what's missing. But that's only looking at half of the picture.
So here's the big reframe. Letting go isn't actually an act of destruction. It's an act of creation. You aren't just getting rid of something old. You are actively and consciously making room for something new.
When you finally release your grip on what isn't working for you anymore, on what just doesn't fit the person you're becoming,
You're clearing the path. You're creating this open space, and you better believe that life is going to rush in to fill it with new people, new chances, and new experiences that are actually in sync with who you are now.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Instead of asking what you're losing when you let go, try asking yourself this instead. By choosing to move forward, what incredible new possibilities will you finally make space for? The answer and the power is all yours.